Hello friends, family and other creatures of the sea, and welcome back to another high level game of StarCraft 2. Today in the top right as our blue Protoss player playing for Team GGG StarCraft 2, it is nice, opening up with a gas before the gateway. Slightly more economical openers, we see the gateway delayed. Now this of course carries some risk, but luckily on the other side of the map we see Shin Hee Byom, also known as Ragnarok, as I probably mispronounced his name there. Ragnarok recently, spoiler alert, advanced out of the GSL Group E in first place. And he did this in a very peculiar way. He built a proxy hatchery every single game that he played. The game didn't end with a proxy hatch every single time, but he did get in good spots. And managed to advance first out of a group where not a lot of people would have expected him to advance first. Taking out Hero, of course, extremely impressive. Taking out Bunny as well, which I honestly don't think a lot of people would have expected either. So Ragnarok, the man that could not make it to Intel Extreme Masters Katowice because he got COVID the day before he had to fly, or maybe even the day he had to fly. He's here now, and he's shown in the past few days that he's very capable of playing some high-level StarCraft. We'll have to wait and see if that's going to carry over into this game as well. It's nice, is a different type of player than the ones that he's been playing, and we don't see a proxy hatch as an opener, so Ragnarok needs to, he needs to actually play a standard game here, or at least something like a standard game. Probe is going to start blocking the third base, but will just hit slightly too late. This is an odd hatchery timing, by the way. This feels like a ZVT hatchery timing here. 27 it was before that third Overlord. Something we rarely see. In ZVP, majority of the time we're either working with 20 hatcheries, so before the queens get built, before the Overlord gets built, or that 30 supply hatchery, or maybe even slightly later hatchery than 30 supply. This was 27 before the third Overlord. I am not entirely sure what the difference is between this and a 30 hatchery eco-wise. I bet the speed timing is going to be a little bit delayed. And I hope that it has slightly better eco, because otherwise you delay the speed timing for nothing. But that's just kind of what I'm assuming here. I need to ask to exactly figure out, what the correct thing is, or, what the advantages, what the trade-offs are. Like, obviously, Ragnarok is a great player. He won't just play an inefficient build for no reason whatsoever, right? That's extremely unlikely. Now, we do have Nice coming across the map with two of these adepts, and as the speed is a little bit later, like I mentioned earlier, these two adepts might actually be capable of dealing a little bit of damage here, as they will... Ooh, that's a nasty surround there. That was not great. Kills two drones, loses two adepts, and honestly not even losing that much mining time either. Oracle is going to start moving towards the third base. Queens not in position, and one worker will die as a result of that. Two queens in the main base will be capable of taking out this, at least denying this Oracle from dealing too much more damage. As at the same time, there's only a single adept right now at home. This is a lot of links with speed. I don't think this probe is going to be quick enough, which means that this adept is getting walled in here. Look at that. Nice wasn't even sure if this was a wall. I don't think he should actually be attacking that pylon. No, he probably should have just gone straight into the main base. Instead decided to try and kill the pylon, and then the adept loses two links as a result. Will still be capable of taking out 3-4 workers here, depending on the level of micro out of Nice. This was not great here. This was not great. This was really the worst case scenario. 4 probes. Alright. Of course, lost one probe on the low ground. Had to cancel one of the pylons as well. So, yeah, it's expensive losses here. And we see that kind of reflected in the Nexus timing as well. Nexus going down at, I think it was 4:30-ish. Yeah, 4:30. A standard Nexus timing with a triple adept into Oracle Phoenix probably would hit around the 4-minute mark. So, yeah, a sloppy start for sure for the Taiwanese player. We'll need to try and get some counter damage done right now. And that, of course, is going to be possible with these triple Oracles and this Phoenix. Phoenix, a lot of utility in that unit, being capable of denying scouting, being able to take out Overlords around the map that might spot the Oracle path. And on top of that, they can lift a Queen, which often makes moving around your queens, juggling them between the bases and making these defensive rotations a lot harder for Zerg. Because if 2 queens or 3 queens get caught off guard, you lift one of the queens, it's 3 oracles against 2 queens. And trust me, 3 oracles take out 2 queens real darn fast, especially if there are no transfuses available. So we do see double Spore in the main base. I think this is the correct call here out of Ragnarok. That allows him to split the rest of his queens between base 3 and base 2. And he'll only require a single queen in the main base. So in this case he has 6 queens. That means he can keep 3 in the one, 2 in the other. But because of the way these defensive rotations tend to work is the moment he sees something scary happening, he can just move more queens over towards this base if he wants to, or he feels like the natural requires more defense, he can send something over there. Spire is going to be constructed here as we see a couple of extra gateways being built, Templar Archives. Gas is very late here for Nice. Once again, kind of a result of that poor or early game that he had. Like we can call it bad, terrible, atrocious, because it really was not good. It was a bad, poor early game, and Ragnarok right now is probably just a little bit further ahead than Nice would want him to be. And with that Spire, if that Spire doesn't get scouted, there's some real potential for some crap here. Let me tell you that much. There's some real potential for these mutas to deal some big damage. That could be painful. That actually could be very painful. Yeah, he's just not seeing it. I mean, the Spire is going to finish soon. Yeah, that's definitely going to be sucking. We do have these oracles once again making their way across the map. We have an observer on the way as well, but that observer is going to be too slow to truly spot anything. But maybe with these phoenixes and with this oracle, you can see a couple of revelations. Now instead, a little bit more harassment out of these oracles. Kill 2 workers here. Revelation on these roaches as well. It feels like Nice. It's just a little bit blind. He blindly starts a phoenix in the main base right now while he's getting a 4th base. And I do not necessarily mind that as he loses an oracle for free. Kind of sloppy. Because there are mutas. If there weren't mutas, however, and you build 2, maybe even 3 phoenixes, life could be pretty bad for you. Now, this observer maybe eventually is going to spot this Spire. Oh, sees the mutas right now. Not quite sure if Nice was paying attention to that. He is starting another phoenix, so perhaps he did see it. I think this is even in range of the Spire. Yes, it is. So now he for sure has got that confirmation. We see an extra cannon going down at the 4th base. I wouldn't mind a cannon either over here or over here. Maybe a couple of cannons. Just trying to defend that wall is often very difficult against Mutalisk. The battery is going to help stay these phoenixes alive. And yeah, battery in every base. A couple of stalkers being warped in as well. Was that a run-by hitting or what's going on? I didn't quite catch that. But yeah, good initial defense here. It's been good. It really has been good here for Nice. Kills 5 Mutalisk, loses a single Phoenix and 3 workers. Now, he also lost all of his oracles, which means defending bases against roach run-bys will be harder. Defending bases against Ravagers, getting stasis wards, that type of stuff is all going to be pretty darn difficult. If this game ever gets to the lurker phase, I bet he also wishes that he would have kept the oracles alive. But I don't think we're actually going to get into any type of lurkers in this game. We have melee upgrades on the way. We have more air upgrades. As we see Ragnarok continuing to add more and more Mutalisk into the mix. Fleet Beacon is about to finish up. This is only of a single Stargate. There's no +1 being researched either. And 5 Phoenixes against 19 Mutalisks without any Impulse Crystals can still be a pretty tricky fight. Now, of course, if you micro this perfectly, you should never get hit, but there are 19 Mutalisks, so if you miss micro once, you immediately lose 1, maybe even 2 Phoenixes because of the bounce. There we go, 1 Phoenix already down, and even with the bounce from the buildings onto the Phoenix, yeah, we see Nice just struggling a mighty amount here with what Ragnarok is throwing at him. Ragnarok floating a decent amount of money as well, as I kind of wanted to point out this lack. It's complete lack of a 6th base, but I guess 10 gases are going to be good enough for now, is what Ragnarok says. No banelings yet with this army either, as 7 more Mutalisks get constructed. Any Impulse is about to finish up in a couple of seconds from now. Of course, Ragnarok is not quite aware of that, and he's going to be pretty upset at this point. He's going to be losing a lot of these mutas if he ain't careful. Even if he is careful, he's going to be losing a lot of these mutas. I actually think that Nice should be chasing this all the way back with these Phoenixes. The main army, however, can stay at home. The Phoenixes go back. No. I'm not quite sure why he decided to move back with the Phoenixes there, and I'm not quite sure why he's continuing to move out currently either. I believe that Nice should be heading back home, and Nice also believes that he should be heading back home. He's continuing Phoenix production, still no +1 though on this cybernetic score. +1 air weapons is such a huge benefit to the Phoenixes who have those double attacks. There are 12 Corruptors on the way, And the funny thing right now is that these Phoenixes, you'd actually rather not have these Phoenixes. Let's put it like this. Because if you would not have these Phoenixes, there's really not that many Mutas. I mean, 10 Mutas are not capable of dealing a lot of damage. If you would have had like 4 or 5 Phoenixes, you would have been capable of dealing with the Mutas. No matter how many Phoenixes you're gonna get, unless it's like 45, you will not be capable of dealing with this Corruptor Muta army. So if you just completely skip out on Phoenixes, you max out on a ground army, all of a sudden the fights for Ragnarok are going to be close to impossible. There is so much supply currently in air units that hardly do any damage whatsoever. There's 85 workers, so we're talking about maybe what, 35, almost 40 supply advantage for Nice in a maxed out battle if he had cut a couple of Phoenixes. However, he seems to want to continue building these Phoenixes as he's going up to 11 right now. +1 is also halfway done. I do like that he's getting that upgrade, but Phoenix, you need so many Phoenixes for them to be useful against Corruptors. And at that point, you might be kind of asking yourself, like, hey, why did I actually do that? Wouldn't it just been better to get a couple of Archons extra? Maybe to get even Storm out if I really wanted to spend cash? Like, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of gas in these Phoenixes, and that makes me sad, because Protoss players love their gas. They need their gas. We all know it. A couple of Zealots moving far forward on creep. I think Ragnarok is actually looking at this fighter and says, maybe I can fight this. A couple of Banelings moving in. Zealots get completely blasted. One Archon is rather low as well. A couple more Banelings will start running forward. Do they get the connections that they want? Do they get the connections that they need? Disruptor will not... Yeah, will fall. These were okay-ish trades, honestly, here for Ragnarok. Ragnarok wants to kind of trade away from his bases, so that he has a little bit more time to rebuild. That's exactly what he's doing. He also kind of was waiting for this Greater Spire to finish up, and that is also about to finish up. So right now we're in the situation where these Corruptors have basically survived their potentially useless period, and now start becoming Broodlords. And I think we're going to be seeing a Broodlord push. This is something we hardly ever see. The only player that very consistently used to do that was Bly. But even Bly's like, well, Broodlords? I don't think so, buddy. I don't really like those guys anymore. So even Bly, the legend of the Broodlord push, doesn't really play it very much anymore. Ooh. Big run by here. There has not been a unit in this wall for quite some time now, but with a cannon and battery in the main, a cannon and battery in the natural, I don't think this is going to be too bad. Templar Archives will get taken out, but it's a cheap structure to rebuild, and we see it immediately. The Cybernetics core as well as the gateway. The Templar Archives being rebuilt here. Once again, these Roaches are going to be capable of taking out a gateway. But with these Phoenixes still in the air, this is what Phoenixes are quite good at, of course. They are very, very solid at taking out run-bys, especially if there's no anti-air in these run-bys. But even if there's like a low number of Hydras, or there's a couple of, maybe like an Infestor to join, which technically has anti-air with Fungal, it's just a good unit to have for run-bys. However, in pure army comp, I'm not so sure about it. The moment Vipers come out, the Phoenix really does fall off as a good combat unit. Ragnarok still stuck on these 5 bases. I wouldn't mind if you would see a 6th base being thrown down at some point in the near future, because right now, well, he's in a bad spot when it comes to the bases. His bases are kind of starting to mine out. As we see, well, this base is still relatively healthy. His natural is dying. His 3rd base is dying. So he's going to be on 2.5 bases, well, maybe 3 bases pretty soon. At the same time, we see half a base still here for Nice as well. This one's also dying already. A little less dying though than what's happening on Zerg's side. Seems like we're gonna get a bit of a base trade, and this doesn't necessarily need to be an entire base trade, but just a base for a base. So an actual base trade, not a base race. I believe that this should usually work out kind of okay for Ragnarok. You see, Nice isn't maxed out yet. If you lose a base that provided a lot of mining and a large chunk of your income, it makes it harder for you to max out. The Ragnarok also losing a fair amount of crap though. It's only on 69 workers right now. I think he was just building a bunch of extra Corruptors. See 3 Infestors on the way, plus 3 melee attacks. Oh, can we get a Parasitic Bomb? No, he's not getting any Parasitic Bombs. This control with the Viper has not been brilliant, I just have to say it. It just has not been too great. Lost 1 Viper for free. Hasn't even killed a carrier yet. I'm kind of afraid currently here for Ragnarok, who is tacking into Neural Parasite. Does he have Burrow yet? He does not have Burrow. 8 Infestors on the way. Okay, this is good movement. Corruptors will be capable of taking out the one carrier. Viper, what you doing, buddy? Do you have any plans? Are you gonna try to take out any more carriers? Maybe some Void Rays that are reinforcing here? Seems like the answer is no. Of course, with a Corruptor force like this, peeing on a Nexus is also going to be completely viable. Like, you give these Corruptors like 5, 6, 7 seconds maybe, they'll just take out a Nexus like that. 27 Corruptors. That's a lot of damage output with the Corruptor P. Forget the actual name of it for a second. They used to have a spell called Corruption, which increased the damage output on that specific unit by 20%. Corrosive, I think it's Corrosive something right now, but I actually can't remember the name of it. How's that possible? Does it show? No, it doesn't. Well, it is what it is. Corrosive Breath? Maybe it's Corrosive Breath. It's coming out of their mouth and it looks ridiculous. 5th base, not up for nice, but he is taking this left side. I do like that. We have 4 mining bases currently for Ragnarok, or well, 4 mining bases. This base is dead. This base is still mining, and this base is truly mining. And yeah, it is very difficult in these situations to truly say who is ahead, because majority of the time is just going to come down to one big endgame fight, and more so than who has more income. Especially now that Ragnarok is planning on a major attack, feels like Nice kind of gets caught off guard here. He can't really initiate another base trade, because his base is already going to die before he'll even get to the other side of the map. He's kind of... He's not quite sure. He's not very confident in his own decision making here. He wanted to go home, he wanted to attack, he wanted to go home, he wanted to attack. Now he's going to attack. That does mean that his base is absolutely destroyed. Yeah, actually, base will stay alive for now. A couple of roaches might want to finish that. At the same time, we have a Prism Warpin in the main base as well. Infestation Pit's going to get taken out. Spire's already being rebuilt here at the 4th base. And this is going to be the fight I was talking about. It's going to be a single big fight. Fungal gets cast already. Not a single Parasitic Bomb either. So, oi, Ragnarok might be in a little bit of trouble. Can we get a recall here? I think we should. I really do believe we should be getting a recall. Can we get a Fungal? No, we can't get a Fungal. Just barely cannot get it. Maybe some Neurals. Well, it's not quite going to work out. 2 of these carriers are going to end up falling. The Roaches took out this base. Same time though, the Zealots in the main have completely destroyed everything that Ragnarok valued in that main base. The Hive is gone, the Spire is gone. No, actually Spire is in the natural. Infestation Pit is gone. Now this pool is going to fall as well, which means that Queens will not be a viable choice here no more. Nice on 61 workers, 110 army supply against Ragnarok's insane army. Ragnarok has army supply of 164. There are only 2 carriers on the map currently against the 32 Corruptors. As we see more and more carriers are being built, I almost feel like Nice needs to counterattack. He needs to say, hey, I don't actually think I can win this game in a straight up engagement, but you hardly have any mining left. Sure, there's a lot of spores there, but if you don't have any Broodlords, if you don't have any ground force to defend this, you're going to die, buddy. You're going to die. And it's obvious to me that if we look at this situation, and if Nice looks at this situation, asks himself what's best, I don't think the answer can ever be attack into this Broodlord Infestor army. Corruptor's not quite in position. Literally every single Fungal is hitting here. Oh my god, you can't be serious. Another Fungal, and another Fungal. Broodlord still absolutely going ham on this Archon army. Corruptor's trying to move into the correct position as well. Void Rays are getting taken down right now. So we still see 37 Corruptors alive. 5 Corruptors have been added during the course of this fight, as more Void Rays are biting the dust right now. And without the Void Ray support, the carriers are useless. GG gets called as Nice loses to Ragnarok. And Ragnarok once again shows that he is a force to be reckoned with in Korea. As he managed to make the top 10 in the GSL, he now managed to destroy Nice as well in a pretty solid game. His early game was good, sure. But the mid game, after these mutas didn't achieve too much, I was afraid for him. But he's shown that his late game isn't all that shabby, and that Tosses should be on the lookout for him. Alright, That's going to be it for me today. Thanks all so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see all of you next time for a new video.